Switching topics now, incentives will be given to communities to entice them to support nuclear. I had Angus Taylor on the program earlier. He says he's not going to front run on this when I spoke to him about it. But it's there in the Australian this morning that subsidised electricity prices, upgraded infrastructure and transition packages for workers are being considered when it comes to a coalition argument for nuclear. So, Keith, is this enough for you to win the debate, do you think?
We've just started the debate and we're trying to have a serious national conversation about the future energy supply of this country as we transition from a coal-based energy source to a reliable non-coal-based energy source. And all of our peers in the world, all of our peers in the G20 have nuclear as part of the mix. And for some reason, Labor don't even want to have this conversation. They want to shut it down, not even have the debate, and are quick to wheel out the quick lines. And I'm sure Julian will have quite a few zingers straight after this that will appear on Twitter or X. But let's actually have the serious conversation. Let's remove the ban. Let's see if the market actually will respond rather than second guess what they'll do.
Okay. Well, let's go to Julie now on this. And before you do respond, Julian, there's an interesting claim by Australia's former nuclear science regulator, again in the Australian today, and he was that regulator under both Labor and Liberal governments. So he says the domestic nuclear energy industry in this country is the only option if the country wanted a reliable, low-cost energy source with zero emissions. So why, in your view, would he be wrong?
Well, I'll respond to what Keith said, and I saw the reports from Adi Patterson, and, there's been report after report after report. The New South Wales chief scientist, the recent CSIRO report, reports over many years that have said nuclear power in Australia is a fantasy, it's a fiction, it's a fairy tale. But, full marks to the coalition. They were in government for nearly a decade. They had 22 different energy policies over 9 years. They ripped 3 prime ministers to bits, 3 governments they tore up over their climate wars and failure to actually have a coherent energy policy. But this is a distraction. It is a distraction. Nuclear power, as every report has shown, we've had the serious, sober conversation over years in this country. This is a distracting trick so people don't focus on the mess that they made in government. It's the most expensive form of new power. It's slow to build. It wouldn't come online for 15 to 20 years, as everyone admits. The small modular nuclear reactors that they keep talking about don't exist anywhere in the world. They're an idea, a proposal. They don't actually exist. And it's not the appropriate form of firming power to complement renewables. Australia has the best renewable resources of any developed country in the world. It's the cheapest form of new power, but the Liberals and the Nationals can't get on board.
Okay, Keith, and just a quick one here because we've got to go. But why didn't you do this 10 years ago while you were in government for 10 years? And Jackie Lambie, I spoke to her recently about this, and she says you should have. You should have done it 10 years ago if you were serious about nuclear.
Oh, look, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but here we are. We're in opposition. This is 2024. Technology advances and moves, and I think the government are forgetting that they're actually in government. Julian makes a great opposition member of parliament. I learn a lot from Julian about how to throw out whataboutisms, but they're in government. They need to engage in the serious task of providing reliable, cheaper power for this country going forward.
Julian, Keith, good to chat as always.
Well, that's exactly what we're doing. Exactly what we're doing.
We'll run this up next week.